Trying to tame that rooster. I like him. She got like the Danish from this morning. No. Light chip basket.
Do they get mad?
Hmm?
Do they get mad when they show up and there's no eggs in there?
It's not very much fun when there are no eggs. Looks like some of them are broken eggs. Look, they broke an egg. Step on them.
I noticed some white eggs and
there's blue and brown. And like a pale pinkish white. New Englanders don't like white eggs.
How many you get a day usually?
About 2 dozen. Egg laying is daylight sensitive, and so as the winter progresses and the light diminishes for the, there's fewer hours in the day of daylight, they quit laying eggs. And when the sun comes back more northerly and the days get longer, then we have more eggs. So spring we're loaded. Well, this is our beautiful eggs. I have to go up to the barn and throw down some more hay into the truck. Hey cows, come on cows. Where are you guys? Hey cows. Nine bales in the bucket. You were here when we had that built before. I built that, right?
The which?
That.
See? There's always something in common, believe me. You have to know her, you're going to go.
Okay, what?
This is water and feed, and I'm going to feed them. I'm going to move their pens so they get fresh grass, and then I want to weigh one of them and see what kind of weight they are, so I have to take it up to the barn and weigh them. We can walk down and see what Manny's doing. This is a hen. and
Wait.
okay, wait. 7 pounds. Now roosters at the same age are probably more like 8.5 pounds. When you want to slaughter them, you want them to be closer to 8 to 9 pounds. So they've got like another pound to go. I figure another week. But they gain weight more slowly when in the cold weather. They're disgusting.
In this country. As a conservative, it frustраtes me that there are still Republicans that think that they can't.
What do you want to know about the barn?
Oh, well, just tell me about the barn and, you know, how...
Well, the barn is, it started out as I needed some storage space and I needed some workspace, and as all projects, it became larger than life. Most people say it's more like a house than a barn. And it's a 40 by 40 barn with a full second story over 28 by 40 of it. It has a workshop that's 16 by 28, and it has a shed space that's 12 by 40. And it has radiant floor heat. We put plastic tubing into the floor and then poured concrete over it so that we can run hot water through the pipes so that we can keep it warm in the winter. We have lovely features like French doors to let lots of light in and to open up wide, so when you come in carrying a load, you don't have to turn sideways to get through the door. I'm really looking forward to using it because presently everything that I do is done in a one-car garage underneath the house, and I really need to separate the farm activities from the household activities and give Ron a space for winemaking and woodworking and all the other things that he wants to do. The second floor we'll use as probably sail storage and boat storage, and I anticipate that
And garlic storage.
and kids and college storage, but I actually think that kids may want to move up there in the summer because it's a beautiful space, and with just a cot they'd be all on their own and separated, but yet could come to the house if they want to.
Well, so what happened to these?
So this was like the tomato vine. These were just last week. These had some leaves, but we've had enough cool weather and wet weather that the leaves have all fallen off, and none of these will have a chance to ripen. So these will all get cleaned up. We can scrape them up and give them to. When you come along here, we'll make a pile of the brush and then rake up all the tomatoes. Also, because if we don't get the tomatoes in August, they'll be all over.
A lot of them, they rot. A lot of the sea, rats on that.
Yeah, but unless they have a lot of that black stuff.
I don't think it's going to be any good.
You think they're all just going to... Yeah, this one's going to go because it's all black on the bottom.
You know the ones that took it in the house?
Yeah.
Put in the biz?
They're all slimy. Yeah.
So how many different crops do you have? I mean, you know,
Vegetables and fruits. I don't know, maybe we may have 50 different kinds of vegetables, and we have, I'm starting down at the bottom, we have elderberry, potatoes, garlic, 3 or 4 different kinds of peas, like snow peas, blackberries, kiwis, raspberries, tomatoes, about 5 or 6 varieties of tomatoes, beans, edamame, we had the little soybeans, we had green beans. Hi Beanie, come on. May's running around. And then we had a bunch of different kinds of squash, zucchini, bush, butternut, delicata, patty pan, and we had eggplant, basil, and then here's broccoli, and Brussels sprouts are still standing. There's still tomatoes all in there.
is this broccoli still ready to
This is
pick?
broccoli right here. See that this is going to flower. That's when the broccoli's gone a little bit far, but this is like a little shoot. So these are all broccoli shoots. They make a big head, but then they also send up side shoots. Like here's one.
So there's still time for these. They will.
Yeah, until we get really hard frost, you'll be able to eat these, and these actually taste sweeter as the cold weather comes on. They're a cold weather crop.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, to be here.
Yeah, we should lower. You should feel how heavy these guys are.
So what are we up to now, Barbara?
These guys are going to get dinner. Taking them to the local slaughterhouse. Look out. This one's gonna bounce. Bales or more up in the barn, and they need maybe 3 bales a day for 9 months.
They used to do that?
They do it with me, yeah. And you go around and you lift this hay. It's dusty, it's itchy. You're hot, you have to wear long sleeve clothes. Heck yeah. Cow. You asked me about why or how I started a farm. I didn't grow up in a farming background. My dad was a vice president of an oil company. We traveled around. But I always gardened. My dad gardened, my aunt gardened, my grandparents were farmers. And about 7 years ago, I decided that I would like to buy some land because I felt as though it was the obligation, or one of the obligations of people with some affluence, is to hold land and keep it open because the pressure for development was quite great. So I found this piece of property. It was 42 acres. It looked like it might be the right kind of land for me to build a house on and to do something with. So we built a house, and I began reading. I read everything I could about farming because I decided I couldn't just leave the land empty. That seemed like a waste. So I started going to conferences and reading, and 2 years later I began planting, and it's stony land, so I put in raspberries and things that were sort of permanent, so I didn't have to till it. But as I saw opportunities in the market, I began growing cut flowers and specialty vegetables, so I began tilling part of the land. Ultimately, then I put in pear trees and kiwis and elderberries. And the original idea was to grow specialty fruit. One of the first fruits besides the raspberries that I planted were gooseberries and currants. And the cows came down. Gooseberries and currants, during the 30s, they found out that they hosted something called white pine blister rust. And white pine blister rust was an injurious disease to all the timber industry. So the WPA was employed in the United States, all across the country, pulling out currants and gooseberries. And so, and many of the states put down law to prevent the growing and cultivation of gooseberries and currants. in Massachusetts, it happens to be town by town, and I found that in our town, there were no restrictions. So I ordered some gooseberries and some currants, and thus began growing the forbidden fruit, and our farm became known as Forbidden Fruit Farm. So the first year I planted 1,000 raspberries and about 250 currant and gooseberry bushes, and the deer got in and ate every one of them to the ground. So the next year, Alexis and Anya and I went out and we put up 7-foot high fencing all around a 2.5 acre garden area and protecting our gooseberries and currants. Only once did a deer get in and we ended up eating it. I began selling my produce at the Cambridge Farmers Market, and it was a big success. Everybody loved the raspberries. Basically, I brought up a card table full of raspberries, and I would bring up 30 or 40 flats of raspberries, so that's like 480 pints of berries, and I would sell them. The next year, I added flowers to the mix and specialty vegetables, and then I got a grant to grow Latino vegetables and to try Brazilian crops.
What does a grant mean?
I got a grant from the state, the Department of Ag, and it was a project where the state started the specialty plants in their greenhouses in Amherst, and then they brought them down here, we planted them. We were demonstrating that they could grow in this area because on the Cape there's a big Brazilian population, so we grew these specialty eggplants and peppers and cilantro. We also employed some Guatemalan workers because there's a large growing population of Guatemalans in this area. And they sold them at their churches and at the community festivals. Then the following year, I took on 4 farmers markets, and I was going to 4 markets in the Boston area with flowers, fruits, vegetables, dried flowers, lavender, and it nearly killed me. It nearly killed me, and it wore out my family. So the next year, this past year, I employed something called a CSA. And a CSA is when families buy a share of the produce that comes off the farm. So the next year, I decided to do something called a CSA, which is Community Supported Agriculture. There's models of these all around the country, and it's where people buy a share of the produce that comes off the farm. Now, I didn't grow everything, and New England wouldn't be New England without its famous sweet corn. And I don't grow corn. So we also told the members of the CSA that we would be finding local farmers who grew crops that I didn't grow. And it's been a rousing success. After 65 members joined the farm, and they came out once a week and picked up all their produce, and I've loved growing food for people, not for sale.